Page 81, Jericho. On page 80, they're introducing you to another key. The key of A minor. Things just got a little more interesting. If you've been struggling to try and understand this and you're just really fighting with it, I would encourage you, this is a really good time in the book to go back and go through this part of the book again, everything from the beginning up to here, because things just got a little more interesting here. But assuming you're ready to go on, here we go. Key of A minor. A minor, so you have major and minor scales. There's more than that, but this is all I teach, major and minor. The key of A minor has no sharps or flats. It's like C major has no sharps or flats. A minor has no sharps or flats. You just got to memorize that. Just memorize it. This would be a good time to go to my scale video on A minor, I can talk, and do it one octave up and down. Now, the way this works is for every major key, there is a corresponding or related minor key with the same key signature. C major is related to A minor because they have the same key signature. No sharps or flats. A minor. Now there's different kinds of minors. The natural minor is just the normal minor. It's what I just played. It's exactly as the key signature shows. No changes at all. But the minor that we use most often is called a harmonic minor. And that's where we would take the seventh step. Remember, every note in a scale is numbered steps. Well, the seventh is one under 8. It's here. So in A, it'd be the G. And we raise the seventh step a half a step. Or you just go up one. We do a G sharp instead. So the scale in harmonic minor is here. I think it sounds cool. The harmonic minor scale is what I teach in the scale videos. That's what I cover. So I recommend. It's used most often. I highly recommend it. And that's A minor. Well, yes, it got more interesting because now you've got two different keys with the same key signature. Because in the past, you could look at the key signature of a piece and you could tell what key it was in by how many sharps or flats are at the beginning of the staff. Well, that's not that simple anymore because it could be a major key or a minor key. Which is it? So, in most cases, what you can do, what I do, is I go to the end of the piece. Most of the time, not always, most of the time a piece will end on its one chord, whatever the key is. And in this case, if you look at this, and take the last measure, you have an E also. Well, those notes, so I take this and move them up here. I get here. That's an A minor chord. That's the key it's in. That's the first thing I look at is the end of the piece when I want to know what key something is in. Because usually that's what it is. There is no rule that says a piece has to end on its one chord, but most of the time they do. It may or may not start with a one chord. You can't rely on that, but the end of it you usually can. So now you have to check what the key is. You look at the key signature and look at the chord at the end, and between the two of them you can usually figure out what key it's in. Not always, because a piece can start in one key and end in another. So you have to watch out for that too. We'll get to that later on. Don't worry about that right now. I don't mean to scare you off yet. This is in the key of A minor. So let's cover this piece carefully, one hand at a time. See the eighth notes? It's got some syncopation going on here. It's kind of neat. The first measure is not bad. It's just all eighth notes. 4 times, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Simple. It's the next couple of measures, 3 measures or whatever. This is where the syncopation comes in. But if you'll take it real slow with the 1 and 2 and thing, it comes out. So second measure, 1 and 2 and 3 and. See, it's a rest on 2. 1 and 2. You're silent on 2. And then you come in on the and of 2. 1 and 2 and then it's tied for the rest of the measure. So you're holding it down now till the end. Right? And that's the syncopation. You're expecting to hear 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and is what you want to hear. But what we're doing is we're playing that half note a half a beat early. We're anticipating it. 1 and 2 and 3 and you're not expecting it quite that soon, and that's what does it. That's the same rhythm in the next measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and in the last measure 1 and 2 and 3 and then you got eighth notes. The last measure slowly in the first line. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so that's you work it out real slowly and carefully and you'll get the rhythm. Second line is similar, and this is the hardest part of the whole piece once you get this rhythm down. In the last line, you're down here, half notes, and then you reach up for the last measure to the 2. You can reach up and connect them, that's fine, otherwise you just up and move. Like so. Now at the beginning, this first note, have you had an A yet? It's the second ledger line below the staff in treble clef. See, the first ledger line, I can't talk. Ledger lines are those little lines above or below a staff, so you can have more notes, because a staff, those 5 lines don't give you very many notes. We got a lot more notes than that to play with, so we need these ledger lines to help us out. One ledger line below the staff on a treble clef is middle C. We've had that forever, hopefully. You may not have known the little line it was on is called a ledger line, which it is, but that's it. And the lines are every other note, so the next ledger line down would be 2 notes down here. You know, and then 3 ledger lines, 4 ledger lines, 5 ledger lines, we're having a ball right there. But the point is, it's 2 ledger lines below. The first note is, it's an A. And then the note after that is right under that, it's in the space below it, which would be a G, except it has a sharp sign, so it's a G sharp. So those first couple of notes is here, thumb, and then cross over, second finger, to get this here. Like so. And that's how that works. Now left hand's pretty simple. However, they've got you starting with a 5-1. Because that's normally how you'd finger. It's a 1 chord. It's an A minor chord without the C. However, when working out a fingering in piano, you have to be looking ahead to see what's coming, to see if you can finger what you're fingering now can help you prepare for what's coming up later. This is just, you get in the habit of doing that after a while. And when I look ahead of here, I look at the 3rd measure and I see that octave here. That bottom note in the 3rd measure is an E. Here, 1 ledger line below bass clef is an E. Here. Well, if I'm going to do that, I can use 3rd finger on the A at the beginning, and I'm in this position. So I recommend starting this piece with 3-1 in the. So you're ready to go here. You don't have to move around. You got enough to think about with the right hand, just to. Second line, stay there, because in the first ending there you got to come down to the E again, and then you can collapse. F sharp, G sharp, A, and then reach up to the 2 on the E. And those sharp signs in that second, it's the 3rd measure of the 2nd line. Those are only good for that measure. They're accidentals. Remember the rules for accidentals? Just that measure. So the F in the next measure is a natural. And you're crossing over with the index finger. We've been through this before. We have had this conversation before. Then in the last line, you have a rest note. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then you reach up. 2 and 3. Like so. Now there's one little tricky spot in the fingering I want to point out for the left hand. I encouraged you at the beginning to use 3 and 1 to prepare you for the 3rd measure. Well, when you repeat it, when you finish the first ending in the 2nd line here in the left hand, you're ending on 4, which is going to make you play the first chord when you repeat it with 5-1. That's okay. Because in the 2nd measure, when you get it again, then you can change to 3-1 and then you're ready to go on. So just be aware of that. That repeat messes that up. But we recovered good. So work out the hands separately, very carefully, and get the rhythm and the fingering and all that. And then once you have it, you put the hands together and have some fun with that. So at the beginning it's not bad because the left hand's whole notes. You're just holding them down all the way through while you're doing this mess in the right hand. But look at the second line on the first ending. You're here. And you got to be careful on these rests. Play the rest. Be quiet. The last measure of the second line, right hand, you're resting on beat 4. So when the left hand plays the C, the right hand lifts up. So the last measure, right there. It's like the first line, the last measure, the left hand gets a rest. So when the right hand plays that C, the last 2 eighth notes, the left hand's got to be up. So that's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Right there on the C it comes up. So watch out on these rests because they're in various places and they're important. Last line, second ending, we have here, these are half notes. You can hold them down, but the left hands are just quarter notes. 1, 2, 3. So each half note is by itself. 1 for 1 beat. 2, 3, 4, and then they're together at the third measure. And the right hand is tied over, and then they're together. And they're accented at the end. Isn't that fun? You can separate those at the end too. So you work them out really, really carefully. As far as dynamics go, they don't give you a lot of dynamics. It's medium loud at the beginning and the last line is loud, and that's all they give you. But once you get to know the piece, you can change that just a little bit as you feel it. And we want to feel lots of stuff in music. Remember the natural accent, the first beat of a measure? We want to feel that. The left hand's helping you out because it's playing on that beat. So that helps out a little. Work it out slowly and just gradually speed it up as you get to know it. Now there is a style. A lot of times with this piece, they'll play it in a more of a swing style. That means you're going to swing the eighth notes. That means you're going to play the eighth notes long short. You feel this long short. It's not a dotted rhythm, it's not a triplet, it's just a felt. So instead of this, it's going to be this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. See the counting instead of 1, 2, 3 or 1 and 2 and 3 and it's 1 and 2 and 3 and you swing the counting. So the whole piece can be done that way. Let's try it together very slowly. I'm going to give us 4 counts since it's a 4/4 time. So your hands start here and here. Okay. 1, 2, ready and go, and 1 and